Hey everybody, Bob Babbitt here. Welcome again to Challenged Athletes Live. My name again is Bob Babbitt from the Challenged Athletes Foundation. Our next guest, the CEO of the National Wheelchair Basketball Association, a man with a great background, Mr. Will Waller. Will, how the heck you doing?
Doing phenomenal, Bob. Appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today.
Well, pretty special day. Today is the announcement of the CAF Wheelchair Basketball Zone that we're all doing together with NWBA, and Nike is presenting sponsor. Talk a little bit about how long you've been working on something like this.
Well, this program's been a couple months in the making, and what we're really trying to do is solve a few unique issues. Number one, we are unable to do a lot of events right now, so we want to bring training solutions that are relevant to our members, both current and future, as well as all of the friends and followers of CAF, bring them relevant training opportunities so that they can continue to live a healthy lifestyle and skill build while they're at home. Another thing that we're trying to do is make sure that we can find a way to excite more females and other people of diverse backgrounds to get excited about not only coming into the game, but staying in the game.
So talk a little bit about what people are going to see on there. These are going to be training videos, and for people who have really never been exposed to the game of wheelchair basketball, that really takes them from A to Z.
Yeah, exactly. It's really going to be a series of videos that are going to teach basic fundamentals of the game, but also some insight on how people can continue to challenge themselves in building those skills. And they're going to be presented by a variety of great athletes in the organization. And so we're really excited not only to bring them the skills, but to bring them a little bit of that motivation from some great mentors in the game.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list. I'm looking at Steve Serio and Megan Blanc and Trevin Jennifer. You've got a pretty great list of athletes, and you've been there watching these athletes go from just getting into the game to becoming gold medalists. How special is that for you, someone who wheelchair basketball did so much to enhance your life, to watch that sport do the same for others?
Yeah, it's actually amazing to see someone come into the game wondering what they can ultimately be, get around other people in the game who've been down that same road that they're getting ready to embark upon, and for them to see themselves in that future state of being successful, whether that means being on a podium for a gold medal, or that means taking some of the skills that you learn in the world of wheelchair basketball and adaptive sports and applying it to other areas of your life. And the most beautiful part is what we're going to see in these videos, which is people who've made it to the highest level, reaching back and trying to help bring other people along. That's the power of adaptive sports.
Well, and I don't think anybody knows the power of adaptive sports more than you do, because when I look back at May 23rd, 1992, 18-year-old kid at Sen High School who was probably in a little bit of a group he shouldn't have been involved with, right? Little gangbanger type of group. And
Absolutely.
Your life changed forever that day. And I'm hazarding to guess that it changed for the better.
That's right. That's right. I grew up in a tough part of Chicago and ended up making choices that a lot of poor kids make when you grow up in that environment. And unfortunately, just a year after graduating from high school, I was in a gang selling drugs and ended up getting shot. And as happens with a lot of people, Bob, I ended up going through an emotional roller coaster, severely depressed, had to go to rehab a second time. And as I was working through that, I had people continually trying to convince me, just try wheelchair basketball. And I was like, well, wheelchair and basketball, they don't sound like they go together, man. And luckily these people persisted because they knew what the sport could do for people like me, because I was like them. And I went out to my first practice. It was a Wednesday night, summer of 1994. And that was the first time in 2 years that I felt quote unquote normal. So it was a life-changing experience for me, and it completely changed the trajectory of my life.
So you ended up going to junior college, and I'm guessing before you were shot, you weren't thinking, I'm going to college anytime soon. And was the college experience, some of it funded by some of the guys from the street gang?
Yeah, so I basically was getting myself in a little bit of trouble still, and my doctor had a come to God talk with me, and told me I need to snap out of it. And she made me promise before I left that appointment that I would go look into junior college. And so the next couple days, I went and looked at a junior college there in Chicago, and it seemed exciting to me. But the one barrier was, where was I going to get the couple $1,000s to pay for it? So I went back to the neighborhood and saw some of my guys and told them I was going to college. And first they laughed at me, told me I was BSing and all of that. And then I was like, no, really, I'm going to go to college. And I told them I didn't have the money for it. So right on the spot, they all started pulling out their money and gave me enough money to pay for it for that semester. And then luckily, you know, vocational rehab kicked in and a variety of other things to be a funding source for me. But yeah, they wanted to see me succeed, which was great.
So you're at junior college, and then you're Wilbur Wright Community College, and the coach from University of Illinois, who was
Yep.
also a national team coach, he spotted you're 6'6" in a wheelchair. When you're
Right.
6'6" and can't jump much as an able-bodied guy, that's not a big deal. But when you're 6'6" in a chair, you're a dominant force.
Well, you have the potential to be a dominant force, Bob.
If you work hard.
Yeah, exactly. So I was actually at a tournament in December of '94 in Evanston, Illinois.
Oh yeah, right next to where I grew up. Yeah.
Correct. Yep. And so it was a combination of community teams and collegiate teams from our collegiate division in the NWBA. And apparently he saw me and he did a little bit of asking around, and he heard that I was in junior college. So we just sparked up the conversation there. And before you knew it, I was making multiple visits down to Champaign to figure out how I could explore the process. And the most amazing thing happened, Bob, at that time. I set my first world record. You want to know what it is?
What's that?
I set my first world record by applying to the University of Illinois. And in world record time, they rejected me and said, there's no way that I'm going to get in. So, so we figured out that I had to apply for junior college down in Champaign. My grades were so bad in high school, barely graduated, that 1 year of junior college wasn't going to be enough. So I transferred down to Parkland College in Champaign.
Yep.
And, you know, I finished my finals at Wilbur Wright, and then the next day I was on an Amtrak train. And that really was, you know, figuratively the transition that I needed, just getting out of the environment that I was in, putting myself down in Champaign. And as you know, the program there in Champaign's been around since 1948. So a long history of successful people to guide and shape someone like me who needed some mentoring.
So yeah, and Brad Hedrick was a coach and a mentor. And during your collegiate career, and then following that, a 5-time Paralympic and World Championship medalist. Yeah. What was it about that sport that really spoke to you? What was it about wheelchair basketball that is so special?
It did one major thing for me. It created a sense of goals and gave me a reason to believe that I could be more than I once thought that I could. So, you know, those medals were phenomenal. And, you know, the fact that it gave me something to realize that I could be the hardest working guy in the room, even though that's not the way that I grew up. And it gave me that sense of purpose. But what I was most grateful for is it taught me not just that those lessons could be applied to the game, but that they could be applied to other aspects of life as well. And I'm so grateful for what wheelchair basketball did. It opened my eyes, and it gave me a sense of purpose.
So in 2000, you go to Sydney, and I think you guys got a bronze.
We did.
And I saw, is your first child named after the games?
That's right. That's
Sydney?
Right. Sydney Waller. That's my girl.
So, and then you went into, in 2003, you're more in the business side of things. You didn't get back into the game, right, until you moved back to Ohio.
Correct.
And,
I was pursuing my professional career. So I graduated in 2000 with my master's in HR, and worked for Honeywell for several years. Then I worked for Whirlpool for several years. And then I got recruited to go to work for Goodyear here in Akron, Ohio. And at that time, I learned that they have a team. So it's like, oh, let's see if the old guys still got it. Let me go out, have a little fun. I'm going to stay in shape, do my thing. And then, man, Bob, as luck would have it, I got out there and I was still pretty good. So I just set some goals quietly in my own head and thought about getting back into it. And I was probably the last guy cut for the 2009 team.
Yeah.
But that was okay. I slowly worked my way back, and eventually for the 2012 team, I was named co-captain of that squad.
And you guys got another bronze?
Another bronze. The elusive goal for me, Bob, is the gold medal in the Paralympics. We had a great group of guys who went and earned it in Rio. So did our women. But for me, I never got a Paralympic gold, but I've got back-to-back world championship golds. So I don't know how those compare, but that's what I got.
They're all great. And mainly what you've got is now you're CEO of the NWBA. Getting named to that role and knowing, and a lot of our viewers might not know the history, but the history of the league goes back, the association goes back to the late 40s. And talk about how many people are connected with the association.
Yeah, so currently we've got approximately 3,000 members, 2,400 of them are athletes. Our geography, we span in 42 states, a few teams in Canada and a team in Puerto Rico. And out of those 2,400 athletes, approximately 850 of them are youth. And beyond that, we've got a women's division. In our collegiate division, we have a men's division and a women's division on the college side. And then we have obviously a few different levels of our adult division. What a lot of people don't know is that in our adult division, it's co-ed. So we've got women out there who are balling with the guys and mixing it up very aggressively as well. So we speak to all audiences. We are an organization that is open to people from any background, whatever your story is. If my story could fit in an organization like this, then we're here for anybody and everybody. And I'd say as much as we've grown as an organization, there's still so many more people to reach. And that's what we're most passionate about. We want to make sure that we can retain the people who are playing today, continue to give them access to great competition and access to their purpose, whatever that may be. And we want to also attract other people with disabilities to come into the game and benefit from the game the same way. And we've got to do even more work to make sure that we can get more women in our game and get more people from different diverse backgrounds, because we want our sport to look like, the country from a composition perspective.
What's fascinating is, like, someone like yourself, someone just said, hey, you should go play wheelchair basketball. But to have all this content online now, where people are sitting in a rehab center and not knowing what's in front of them, they could get into the sport quicker, right? Is that part of the reason for creating this, the whole CAF wheelchair basketball training zone, is so that people can get into the sport quicker and find something that will enhance them the rest of their life?
Yeah, I think it demystifies it, Bob. At the end of the day, if you're just wondering in your head, whether you're in a rehab center or sitting in a dark room in your house or wherever you happen to be, you've got a lot of doubt and you're not sure that you can necessarily excel at doing this game that you've never done before. You're still figuring out how to sit up in the chair, for crying out loud. But when you see some of these athletes performing these drills and breaking the drills down, it kind of takes away the unknown and shows you that with some simple work and simple effort, that you too can develop these skills. And so we want to demystify it. We want to make it less threatening for them. And we want to show them that even our most elite athletes, they're all approachable. And we're a community of people who give back and want to support one another. And whether it's said explicitly in the video or not, we think it's going to come through.
When you talk about collaboration, you talk about, NWBA, and you talk about Nike, and talk about Challenge Athletes Foundation. I think this year we gave out about $1 million in grants specifically for wheelchair basketball, with grants and travel, et cetera. Why is the collaboration important?
Well, I think, first of all, the collaboration's not just important from the financial perspective. From our point of view, what's important is the fact that you all are really good about storytelling too. And
Yes, we are.
we're very excited about the opportunity to tell this story about the sport together, and to motivate people through those stories that we tell. So that's very important. And we think it's also important from a Nike perspective. They're a strong supporter of the fact that everyone is an athlete.
Exactly.
And how important is it for people who are trying to figure out their journey with disability to understand from the experts in our sport of wheelchair basketball, that being the NWBA, from an incredible organization like CAF, and a partner like Nike, for them to be told and convinced that they're an athlete as well. That's powerful.
Is there a story that sticks out to you? Because obviously your story is unbelievable, going from being a gangbanger to getting shot to becoming CEO of this organization. Have you run into some other stories that stick out to you, which really exemplify the power of this sport?
Yeah, what I like to tell people, I mentioned moments ago that we have 2,400 athletes. I think the beauty of adaptive sports is that everyone's got a story, whether they were born with a disability or they sustained a disability later in their life. Yeah. Everyone has a story of perseverance, resilience, and our athletes typically have a story that says that the sport has convinced them that they can do more than they once thought. But as far as stories are concerned, the ones that tend to move me the most are founded in our roots as an organization. So some of the veterans from the early days in the sport, when you learn about what they had to go through, the perception of people with disabilities back in the late 40s and the 50s was such that people didn't believe that they can live an active lifestyle. They thought that would reduce their life expectancy. So the fact that they fought through all of those stereotypes and convinced people that by participating in sport and by getting an education and whatnot, that they would have a greater life expectancy, they paved the way for us. And now we're about to hit the 30-year anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And our founder, Dr. Nugent, paved the way for all of the work that went into the ADA. And we're the beneficiaries of his work as well on the sports side. So couldn't be more grateful.
What are your goals for this collaboration? What do you see in terms of numbers of people impacted over the next couple of years?
For me, it's all about awareness building and making it easy once we make people aware of the game, finding a way to then continue to move them through the funnel and get them involved, help them find a team, help them sign up and register and whatnot. I don't have an explicit number in mind, but I'm highly confident that with the reach of CAF and the reach of the NWBA and other partners, we're going to be able to get this content out there. And it may sound cliche to you, Bob, or others, but for me, if we only got 5 more people playing and we really changed their lives, that would make this investment worth it. I tend to think we're going to hit a multiple of that without a doubt in my mind. But, I just want to attract more people into the game and make them feel comfortable to pursue their potential.
I love it. Hey, Will, thank you so much for taking time. We love being partners with you on this. I think we're going to take the sport to another level. When I see a Steve Serio or a Megan Blanc, I'm like, these are elite athletes who should be they are the LeBron James of their world, and they should be getting that type of exposure. So I love what you guys are doing. I love this partnership, and thanks so much for taking time to join us on Challenge Athletes Live.
Well, thanks to you, Bob, and thanks to the team for making the partnership a reality. And let's go have some impact together in the zone.
I love it. In the zone again. Will Waller has been our guest. He's the CEO of the NWBA. Thanks so much, Will. We'll catch you later.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.